I'm Christina Sundari and welcome back to my Basics 101 series. Learning how to do a really good eye makeup look, I think, is really essential. Eyes are a window into someone's soul, as I don't even know who came up with that, but I kind of agree with that. I would say it's like a double-edged sword to have really expressive eyes, because if you really like something, then you really don't have to say anything, but then if you really don't, then it's kind of like, well, you also don't have to say anything. Don't forget to subscribe by hitting the red button down below. Give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, and hit the bell so that you get email notifications sent to you anytime I post a new video. I really like this look because it's very versatile. There's a lot of things that you can style with it. And depending on what lip you do, you can either make it as dramatic or as casual as you want. I went ahead and did foundation and powder on my face as well as concealer, and I did my brows just for the sake of the video to save time because we're focusing on eyes today. So first I'm gonna start with an eye primer, and I always use this one. I was thinking about using something else just to mix it up, but this is really foolproof, and it's the MAC Cosmetics Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. I've been told that on brown skin, soft ochre is actually a better shade because it's got more yellow tones in it. It's probably the next one that I'm gonna get, but I still have a lot of this product left, so I figure I'm gonna finish it first before I buy something else. And then just taking my favorite Morphe R32 brush, I'm just gonna dip that into the pot, and I'm gonna start layering that onto the eye lid. Mirrors are good. It helps to know what we're doing. You want just an even coat on top of the lid. So the purpose of this step is to not just prolong your eyeshadow, but to also prevent any creasing that may occur during the day. For me, I have combination skin, and maybe anyone with oily skin would probably be prone to creasing. So I would highly recommend, if you have one of those two skin types, to definitely make sure you don't skip this step. This is a basics video, but it doesn't mean that we can't have a little bit of fun with it. So last week, I actually purchased the KKW and Mario collaboration eyeshadow palette, and I've already used it a couple times. It's a very, very beautiful palette. So it's got some really bright and bold shades that you can have fun with, like obviously this blue shade Libra, which is super popular on Instagram right now. But it's also got a really beautiful gold that you can use for pretty much everything. A nice kind of like bronzy tone, a few brown shades, of course, like your typical vanilla shade for highlighting the brow bone. And overall, I would say this is just a very beautiful, versatile palette. I've already traveled with it like 1 or 2 times just because I have everything that I need in here. So for today's video, I'm going to show you how to do a really, really, really simple and basic look using this palette. First, I'm going to be starting with a transition shade. So I'm going to start with the shade Miami, which is this really light brown shade, and that's going to be our transition. Taking that onto a really fluffy brush, this is the Sigma E35 tapered blending brush. For blending or for any time you are applying a lot of product all over the eye, it's really important that you use a fluffy brush. And it doesn't really matter what kind of brush it is. I mean, for me, I really like this one by Sigma, but you can use any kind of a brush as long as it's got a lot of bristles at the tip. I'm going to just carefully pop that into the crease and start blending it out. And for this step, you want to use windshield wiper motion. So meaning you just want the brush to go back and forth from the outer corner of the eye towards the inside. And I would say for me, because I have almond eyes or kind of like cat eyes, I primarily focus on accentuating the outer corner of the eye. So I would say probably for anyone, that's a good rule of thumb, especially if you like a smoky eye. I mean, we're not doing a smoky eye today, but sometimes I add a little bit more shadow in the outer part of my eye, and that does give it kind of a slight smoky eye effect. I have seen beauty bloggers and makeup artists do this 2 ways. And I guess it kind of depends on the nature of the eyeshadow that you're using too. You could tap off the excess, which is probably good if you're using a really highly pigmented product. For this eyeshadow palette, it's not super, super pigmented, and it doesn't come out super, super pigmented on my skin just because I am slightly darker. I don't need to tap off a lot of the excess product because once it's deposited onto my skin, it kind of gets blended out and it's not super, super harsh. On girls and boys with lighter skin, then yes, absolutely. They're always tapping off the excess because even just a little bit, you can see the color on their faces. So if you have slightly darker complexions, then you don't always have to do that. Especially for shades like this one that I'm using right now, Miami, there's no need to really be doing that. Now I'm just gonna take a clean, fluffy brush, and what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna start blending out that shade. It's really important that you don't skip this step because when you apply eyeshadow, even if you're using just 1 or 2 shades, you want it to look very, very blended out. If you don't blend it out, then it starts looking really patchy, sometimes kind of blotchy, and over the course of the day, it really doesn't look good. So it's really important to always blend. So just taking a Makeup Forever brush, this is the 242 wavy brush. I'm just going to go over the shade that we just put down and just blend it into my skin. I just kind of use the same windshield wiper motions, but this time you'll see me, I'll be pulling out that color towards the outside of my eye. And this technique is really important, especially when you're using darker colors. So when I'm using black or if I'm using a really dark brown, then doing it this way is very, very helpful because that's how you start to really create that cat eye effect. This palette is actually very, very easy to work with. The shades are very, very blendable. I only used 1 shade, but you guys will see when I throw on the next shade how easy it is. If you've been on the fence about the KKW palette, or if you're someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of palettes and you want to start investing in more, this is a really good one just because the shades are so easy to blend. And when I freelance, I have folks come up to me and they'll ask, you know, can you make a recommendation for an eyeshadow palette? And I always ask them, you know, well, what shades are you really into? Are you into the more natural, neutral shades? Do you want to go a little crazy? Those are the important questions. And then I'll make a recommendation based on those shades. But the recommendation I always make is always an eyeshadow palette that's very blendable because that makes it really, really easy for people to use, especially if you don't have that much experience with makeup. I'm feeling kind of adventurous this morning. So I already used this gold shade, which is Armenian, and I'm debating if I want to use this bronzy Pull it downwards, and then I might kind of like flick them over towards the side just to make my eyes look even bigger, and it gets a little bit more product on them as well. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me today. I hope that the video was helpful. I hope that you feel a little bit more confident now when you do eyeshadow. As you can see, it's really not that difficult to create a really simple but really pretty look. I really like this one because I think it's very fun and easy to do, very suitable for spring and even summer because you're only using like literally 2 shades and an eyeliner, which is not even on the top. I literally just used it on the bottom, and I love makeup looks like that where it's super easy to do. You really don't need that many tools or skills for that matter. What I also did off camera was I took this kind of small rounded dome brush and I just took some of my highlighter and I applied that to the inner corners of my eyes. And that is just an additional step if you want to do it, but it's nice because it helps the eyes pop a little bit more. And I mean, I have naturally big eyes, so I really don't need it, but I like accentuating my good features. So don't forget to subscribe by hitting the red button down below. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and hit the bell so that you get email notifications sent to your inbox anytime I post a new video. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you have a very wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you guys next time.